It was shattered. Then Bearthnoth ordered every warrior to dismount, drive off his horse, and go forward into battle, with faith in his skills and with bravery. Thus Offa's young son could see for himself that the Earl was no man to suffer cowardice. He sent his best falcon flying from his wrist to the safety of the forest and strode into the fight. Thereby one could well see that the youth would not be weak in the turmoil of battle. Eadric too was firmly resolved to follow his leader into the fight. At once he hurried forward with his spear. He feared no foe for as long as he could lift his shield and wield a sword. He kept his word that he would pierce and parry before his prince. Then Bearthnoth began to marshal his men. He rode about and advised. He told his men how they should stand firm, not yielding an inch. He bade them grasp their shields in their hands tightly and upright, and not be afraid. After he had urged on his army to the utmost, he dismounted with his escort at a carefully chosen place where he knew his most faithful men were waiting. Then a Viking spokesman stood on the riverbank and bellowed a message from the seafarers to Bearthnoth, the Earl, on the opposite bank. "The brave seafarers have sent me to say to you that they will be so good as to let you give gold rings in return for peace. It is better for you to buy off our raid with tribute than that we, so cruel, should cut you down in battle. We need not destroy one another. If you agree to this, we'll settle for peace in exchange for gold. If you, most mighty over there, wisely decide to disband your men, giving money for peace to the seafarers on their own terms, and make a truce, we'll take to the sea with the tribute you pay and keep our promise." Then Bearthnoth spoke. He grasped his shield and brandished his slender ashen spear. Resentful and resolute, he shouted his reply. "Can you hear, you pirate, what these people say? They will pay you a tribute of whistling spears, of deadly darts and proven swords, weapons to pay you, pierce, slit, and slay you in the storm of battle. Listen, messenger, take back this reply. Break the bitter news to your people that a noble earl and his troop stand over here, guardians of the people and of the country, the home of Ethelred, my prince, who will defend this land to the last ditch. We'll sever the heathens' heads from their shoulders. We would be shamed greatly if you took our tribute and embarked without battle, since you've barged so far and brazenly into this country. No, you'll not get your treasure so easily. The spear's point and sword's edge, savage battle play, must teach us first that we have to yield tribute." Then Bearthnoth gave word that all his warriors should walk with their shields to the river bank. The troop on either side could not get at the other, for the flood flowed after the turn of the tide. The water streams ran together. They thought it too long before they were able to clash their spears. The East Saxons and the ship army beset the river Panther in proud array, and yet no warrior could injure another except by the flight of a feathered arrow. The tide ebbed, the pirates stood ready, many bold Vikings eager for battle. Then Bearthnoth, guardian of his men, ordered a warrior to defend the ford. He was Wulfstan, Ceola's son, the bravest of brave kin. With his spear he pierced the first seafarer who stepped, unflinchingly, onto the ford. 2 proven warriors stood with Wulfstan, Alfeir and Macus, both brave men. Nothing could have forced them to take flight at the ford. They would have defended it for as long as they could wield their weapons. When they saw that, and found the guardians of the ford too fierce for their liking, the hateful strangers began to use guile and asked if they could cross, leading their warriors over the water. Then, in full hardy pride, the Earl allowed those hateful people access to the ford. The son of Berthelm began to call out across the cold water. The warriors listened. "Now the way is clear for you. Come over to us quickly, warriors to the slaughter. God alone can say who will control the field of battle." Then the slaughter wolves, the horde of Vikings, waded to the west across the river Panther. The seafarers hoisted their shields on high and carried them over the gleaming water. Byrhtnoth and his warriors awaited them, ready for battle. He ordered his men to form a shield wall and to stand firm against the enemy. Then the battle, with its chance of glory, was about to begin. The time had come for all the doomed men to fall in fight. The clamour began. The ravens wheeled and the eagles circled overhead, craving for carrion. There was shouting on earth. They sent their spears, hard as files, and darts ground sharp, flying from their hands. Bowstrings were busy, shield parried point. Bitter was the battle. Brave men fell on both sides, youths choking in the dust. Byrhtnoth's sister's son, Wulfmar, was wounded, slashed by the sword. He chose to sleep on the bed of death. His slaughter was avenged. The Vikings were repaid in kind. I was told that Edward swung his sword so savagely, a full-blooded blow, that a fated warrior fell lifeless at his feet. Byrhtnoth shouted out his thanks to him, his chamberlain, as soon as he had a chance to do so. Thus the brave men stood firm in battle. Each sought eagerly to be first in with his spear, winning the life and weapons of a doomed warrior. The dead sank to the earth. But the rest stood unshaken, and Byrhtnoth spurred them on, bade each of the warriors give thought to brave deeds, who wished to gain glory against the Danes. Then the brave warriors raised his spear, gripped his shield, and stepped towards a seafarer. Thus the brave earl advanced on the churl. Each had evil designs on the other. The Viking was the quicker. He hurled his foreign spear, wounding the lord of the warriors. Byrhtnoth broke the shaft on the edge of his shield. The embedded spear head sprang out of his wound. Then he flung his spear in fury at the proud Viking, who dared inflict such pain. His aim was skillful. The spear split open the warrior's neck. Thus Byrhtnoth put paid to his enemy's life. Then he swiftly hurled a second spear, which burst the Viking's breastplate, wounding him cruelly in the chest. The deadly point pierced his heart. The brave Earl, Byrhtnoth, was delighted at this. He laughed out loud and gave thanks to the Lord that such good fortune had been granted to him. But one of the seafarers sent a sharp javelin speeding from his hand. It pierced the body of the Earl Byrhtnoth, Ethelred's brave thane. By his side stood a young warrior, Wulfmar by name, Wulstan's son, a stripling in the fight, who full-boldedly drew out the blood-red javelin from Byrhtnoth's side. He sent the tempered weapon flying back again. The sharp point struck home. The Viking who had injured his prince so grievously sank to the ground. Then a seafarer bore down on the Earl. He had it in mind to snatch away his treasures, his armour and rings and ornamented sword. Byrhtnoth drew out his sword from its sheath, broad-faced and gleaming, and slashed at his corslet. But one of the seafarers stopped him all too soon. He destroyed the Earl Byrhtnoth's arm. The golden-hilted sword dropped from his hand. He could hold it no longer, nor wield a weapon of any kind. Then still the old warrior spoke these words, encouraged the warriors, called on his brave companions to do battle again. He no longer stood firmly on his feet, but swayed and raised his eyes to heaven. O guardian of the people, let me praise and thank you for all the joys I have known in this world. Now, gracious Lord, as never before, I need your grace, that my soul may set out on its journey to you, O Prince of Angels, that my soul may depart into your power in peace. I pray that the devils may never destroy it. Then the heathens hewed him down, and the two men who stood supporting him, Ælfnoth and Wulfmar, fell to the dust. Both gave their lives in defence of their lord. Then certain cowards beat a hasty retreat. The sons of Odda were the first to take flight. Godric fled from the battle, forsaking Byrhtnoth, forgetting how often his lord had given him the gift of a horse. He leaped into the saddle of his lord's own horse, most unlawfully, and both his brothers, Godwine and Godwig, galloped beside him. Forgetting their duty, they turned from the fight and headed for the forest. They fled to that fastness and saved their lives. And more men followed than was at all right, had they remembered their former rewards that the prince had given them, generous gifts. It was just as Offa once said to Byrhtnoth, at an open council in the meeting place, that many who spoke proudly of their prowess would prove unworthy of their words under battle stress. So, Ethelred's Earl, the prince of those people, fell. All his hearth companions could see for themselves that their lord lay low. Then the proud thanes went forth there. The brave men hastened eagerly. They all wished, then, for one of two things: to avenge their lord, or to leave this world. Then the son of Ælfric, a warrior young in winters, chose his words and urged them on. Ælfwine said, and he spoke bravely, "Think of all the times we boasted at the mead bench, heroes in the hall predicting our own bravery in battle. Now we shall see who meant what he said. I will make known my ancestry to one and all. I come from a mighty family of Mercian stock. My grandfather was Aelhelm, a wise elder man, well endowed with worldly riches. No thane shall ever reproach me amongst the people with any desire to desert this troop and hurry home, now that my prince has been hewn down in battle. This is the most bitter sorrow of all. He was my kinsman and my lord." Then he went forward into the fight and pierced a pirate's body with his spear. The man keeled over, dead, killed by Ælfwine's weapon. Again he urged his friends and companions to go forward. Offa spoke and brandished his ash spear. "You, Ælfwine, have spurred all the thanes as is needed. Now that our prince is slain, the earl on the earth, we must all incite one another to fight, for as long as we can wield our weapons, pierce with our spears, and lunge and parry with our swords. Godric, the cowardly son of Odda, has betrayed us all. When he rode on the horse, the proud steed, all too many men thought it was our lord, and so they followed him, and here on the field the shield wall was broken. May fortune frown on him whose cowardice has caused this catastrophe." Then Leofsuno spoke. He raised his shield for protection and replied to Offa, "I give you my word that I will not retreat so much as 1 foot, but I will go forward and avenge my lord in battle. Now that he has fallen in fight, no loyal warrior living at Sturmere need reproach me for returning home lordless in unworthy retreat. For the weapon shall take me, the iron sword. He strode forward angrily, and fought bravely. He spurned escape. Then Dunir spoke, and shook his spear. A lowly churl, he cried out loud, and asked every man to avenge Bearthnoth's death. Whoever intends to avenge our prince must not flinch, nor care for his own life. Then they hurried forward, heedless of their lives. The brave followers, fiercely carrying spears, fought with great courage and prayed to God that they should be allowed to avenge their lord by killing all his enemies. The hostage helped them with all his might. His name was Askferth, the son of Ecklath. He became of a brave family in Northumbria. He did not flinch in the battle play, but fired arrows as fast as he could. Sometimes he hit a shield, sometimes he pierced a man. Again and again he inflicted wounds for as long as he could hold a bow in his hands. Edward the Tall, eager and ready, did not stray from the line of battle. He boasted that he would not shrink so much as a footstep, or seek safety by flight, now that his lord lay dead. He smashed the shield wall and attacked the seafarers until he worthily avenged his ring-giver's death. He sold his life dearly in the storm of battle. So did Aethrec, a stalwart companion, eager and thrusting, he fought fiercely. The brother of Sibthird, both he and many others split the hollow shields and warded off the seafarers. The corner of the shield broke, and the corselet sang a terrible song. Then in the fight, Offa struck a seafarer. He fell to the earth. But the kinsman of Gad was killed there too. Offa was quickly brought down in the battle. Yet he had kept his promise to his prince, just as he once boasted to his ring-giver, that they should both ride to the stronghold, return home uninjured, or both fall in battle, bleeding from wounds on the field of slaughter. He lay near his lord, as befits a thane. Then shields were shattered. The seafarers surged forward, embittered by bloodshed. Often a spear sank into the body of a fated warrior. Then Wistan advanced, the son of Thurstan. He fought with the Vikings, slew 3 in the struggling throng before he, Wighelm's brave son, was himself brought down. That was a savage fight. The warriors stood firm in the struggle. Strong men fell, drained by wounds. The dead dropped to the earth. The brothers, Oswald and Edward, continuously encouraged the companions. They urged their kinsmen to use their weapons without slackening and endure the stress to the best of their strength. Berthwold grasped his shield and spoke. He was an old companion. He brandished his ash spear and most boldly urged on the warriors. Mind must be the firmer, heart the more fierce, courage the greater, as our strength diminishes. Here lies our leader, hewn down, an heroic man in the dust. He who now longs to escape will lament forever. I am old. I will not go from here, but I mean to lie by the side of my lord, lie in the dust with the man I loved so dearly. Godric, too, the son of Athelgar, gave them heart to continue the fight. Often he let fly his spear, his deadly javelin, at the Vikings as he advanced at the head of the host. He humbled and hewed down until at last he fell himself. He was not the Godric who escaped from the fight.